And in my playbook tonight, these right-wing haters are flat out of control. The latest offense comes from a Glenn Beck righty, David Barton, a so-called professor at Beck University. On his radio show, Barton was talking about government regulation of things like fast food, cigarettes, and salt. And then he came up with this incredibly bigoted theory.
Well, if I go to the Centers for Disease Control, and if I'm concerned about health, I find some interesting stats there, and this should tell me something about health. Homosexual, bisexual individuals are 7 times more likely to contemplate or commit suicide.
Wow.
Ooh, that doesn't sound very healthy. Homosexuals die decades earlier than heterosexuals. That doesn't sound healthy. You go through all this stuff, sounds to me like that's not very healthy. Why don't we regulate homosexuality?
I was about to say, now wait.
This is all part of a clear pattern of hate coming from the right wing. Senator Jim DeMint of South Carolina is saying that gay people and sexually active single women shouldn't teach in public schools. Now this Beck disciple is spewing the same kind of garbage. And this is a guy who was the chair of the Texas Republican Party. He campaigned with Marco Rubio down in Florida. He worked with the Newster on Sharon Engel's campaign in Nevada. He even stumped for John McCain in 2008. The Republicans cannot pass this guy off as just some regular dude. He is a fringe righty. For more, let's bring in Reverend Barry Lynn, Executive Director of Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. Well, Reverend, we got a lot of material on the table to show exactly who the Republican Party represents. What do you make of this?
Absolutely. The only thing that David Barton said in that screed that contained all kinds of misinformation was gay and lesbian people, yes, they do have a higher suicide rate than straight people. And one of the reasons that that is sadly the case, and we've just seen recent examples of that, including with Tyler Clementi, who jumped off the George Washington Bridge after his roommate taped him in a sexual event with a male friend, is that these are the people who sow the seeds of this kind of bigotry. They say to be gay is sinful. They say to be gay is to be evil. And then they try to convince young people in particular that they can change, that you can go through this pseudoscientific reparative therapy and change. And they're even against anti-bullying programs in public schools, including our last guest, Michael Medved, who sometimes is a sensible conservative. But he's against those programs. How can anybody be opposed to trying to keep bullies from smashing somebody or breaking some kid's arm on the playground, something that also happened last week?
I mean, we can draw the conclusion that they openly promote discrimination, and they make no bones about it.
Oh, they do more than promote discrimination, because what they really want, and what David Barton wants to do by regulating homosexuality, the only way you regulate this, I guess, is if you put people in a camp, in a single cell, in a camp, and then you just keep them there. And lest people say, well, that would never happen. Of course, sadly, it has happened in our history. And as you pointed out, Jim DeMint says one way that we start all this process of demonizing and then making it even more difficult to be a gay or lesbian person in America, make sure they can't teach. And if they can't teach, we of course know they can't be in the military. Senator DeMint's against that as well. So this is a very vile, very evil campaign.
This is who they are. Reverend Lynn, great to have you with us tonight. Thank you for your time.
Always nice.
Another page in the playbook. With less than 4 weeks to go before the elections, President Obama is going back to the base. At a fundraiser in New Jersey last night, the President of the United States warned Democrats against sulking and sitting back this November. Today, the president hit the campaign trail again in Maryland, trying to pump up the base.
You've got pundits who are saying, well, the other party supporters are more excited. They're saying they're going to turn out at higher levels. I think the pundits are wrong. But it's up to you to prove them wrong. Don't make me look bad now. I mean, I'm betting on you. Change doesn't come from the top. It doesn't come from millions of dollars of TAC ads funded by special interests. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens because of you.
Joining me now is A.B. Stoddard, associate editor of The Hill. They have done some extensive polling. The Hill was conducted, their poll was conducted in 12 battleground districts. A.B., what did you find?
Well, Ed, let's start out with the fact that this is a tough environment for Democrats on many levels, but this enthusiasm gap is absolutely key to their standing in the polls and their potential to come from behind and on the margins end up holding the House. None of the Republican challengers in these 12 districts where freshman Democrats are fighting for their life have broken 50%. What you're seeing is a lot of enthusiasm by independents and Republicans for them, but not a lot of enthusiasm by Democrats for the incumbent. If they can turn that around in the weeks to come, like I said, they can make up some of the difference. I don't think Democrats can win independents now, Ed, but if they can appeal, as President Obama has done, to partisan Democrats and make them angry about what the Republicans are saying, what they're proposing, and try to get them in the car, that's going to make up a lot of numbers on November 2nd.
DNC is going to spend $50 million to get out the vote. 4 million more Republicans have voted in the primary season, and I think some of this is shown in your polling. You saw 91% to 85%. Among likely voters aged 18 to 34, which was a real money demographic for the administration, 56% are very passionate about casting ballots. Is this number going to be good enough to put the Democrats over the top? What do you make of that number?
No, in fact, the pollsters who conducted this for us, Penn, Schoen, Berlin, found that that was the lowest number of enthusiasm, lowest percentage of voter enthusiasm of any demographic in the group. And so you're really looking at a depressed youth vote, which, as we know, was critical in 2008. If they have time in these couple weeks to try to motivate them, that could make the difference. But they probably need to go after loyal senior Democrats, women, college professors, whoever turned out, African Americans who turned out. We've seen other polling, Ed, as you know, in previous weeks that show that the groups that approve of President Obama the most are the least interested in this election. Our poll backs that up. They've got to change that dynamic.
A.B. Stoddard of The Hill, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much. A couple of final pages in the playbook tonight. Lou Dobbs, Mr. Illegal Immigration himself, is categorically denying a report in The Nation magazine that he hired illegal workers to take care of his multi-million-dollar estates. The magazine conducted a year-long investigation to uncover Dobbs had at least 5 illegal immigrants working in his gardens and stables. Dobbs calls it a political assault and a lie. I think he just might be looking really at an American hypocrite. And finally, Rupert Murdoch is speaking out about the $1 million gift News Corp made to the Republican Governors Association. Uncle Rupert said that it was because of his friendship with John Casey and claimed it had nothing to do with Fox News. Kasich is the Republican candidate for Ohio governor, and he's also a former Fox News host. No real connection there. Last I checked, Rupert had some other friends on the Fox News payroll as well, like Sarah Palin, Mike Huckabee, Newt Gingrich, and we all know none of them want to be president.